Welcome to the channel The Human Code, where human behaviors are explained. We're not just looking at what people do, but decoding the hidden scripts and silent operating systems that guide our actions, often without our permission or even our awareness. In this episode, we confront one of the most fundamental illusions we hold about ourselves, the belief in the sovereignty of our own mind. Most people believe they think for themselves. It's a deeply held conviction, a cornerstone of modern identity. We feel the gears of our mind turning. We hear the internal monologue constructing arguments, and we arrive at conclusions that feel uniquely, authentically ours. They believe their opinions are their own, forged in the fires of personal experience and logic. Their beliefs are their own, a private sanctuary of truth. Their decisions, from the monumental to the mundane, feel like the product of careful, independent reasoning. We are the captains of our own cognitive ships, charting our own course through a sea of information. But is that the full picture? Watch closely, and a different pattern appears. A pattern that suggests we are less like solitary captains and more like vessels caught in powerful, invisible currents. Because most of our thinking isn't truly independent. It's inherited. Like genetic traits, ideas are passed down. They travel silently through families, embedded in childhood sayings like, "waste not," "want not," or "blood is thicker than water." They propagate through our social circles and workplaces, disguised as industry jargon or the way we do things around here. They saturate our world through culture, media, and now, with unprecedented speed and precision, through the algorithms that curate our digital lives. These ideas form the intellectual air we breathe. This process is so seamless, so pervasive, that by the time someone repeats an idea, it often feels like it originated in their own mind. The external suggestion has been fully internalized, transformed from a foreign concept into a personal conviction. The echo has been mistaken for the original voice. But why are we so susceptible to this? The answer lies not in a flaw, but in a feature of our own biology. The brain is built to conserve energy. It's a survival mechanism honed over millennia. Our cognitive resources are finite, and the brain treats them like a precious budget. Deep, original thinking takes enormous effort. It means resisting the easy answer, questioning foundational assumptions, and tolerating the profound discomfort of uncertainty. It's like forging a new path through a dense, untamed wilderness. Every step requires hacking away at overgrown beliefs and navigating treacherous, unfamiliar terrain. And uncertainty is deeply uncomfortable. It signals a lack of safety, a void of knowledge where danger might lurk. So rather than blaze a new trail every single time, the brain prefers the well-paved highway. So the brain relies on shortcuts. It adopts pre-packaged ideas and established frameworks because they are efficient. They save time, and most importantly, they save precious cognitive energy. Psychologists call these mental shortcuts cognitive heuristics. Heuristics are the brain's rules of thumb. They help us act fast without getting bogged down analyzing every single detail of every situation. Without them, daily life would be impossible, an exhausting marathon of constant, deliberate calculation. Imagine having to derive the principles of physics every time you wanted to catch a ball. Heuristics allow us to function, but these essential shortcuts come with a profound cost. They are backdoors into our minds. They make us easy to influence. One of the most powerful of these shortcuts is the link between repetition and truth. Repetition feels like familiarity, and familiarity feels like truth. This is known as the illusory truth effect. The more often a claim is repeated, whether on the news, in our social feeds, or from a trusted friend, the more credible and truthful it appears. Each echo reinforces the idea, making it easier for our brain to process. The brain mistakes this ease of processing for a sign of accuracy. An idea doesn't need to be accurate to feel convincing. It doesn't need evidence or logic, it just needs enough echoes. It needs to be seen, heard, and read enough times that it becomes part of the mental furniture. This is where influence enters quietly, not with a bang, but with a whisper, repeated over and over again. It slips past our critical defenses by leveraging our brain's own desire for efficiency. The inherited idea becomes a personal belief, the shortcut becomes a conviction, and the external influence feels like internal will. And because the process is so subtle, so deeply integrated with the very mechanics of how we think, most people never notice it happening at all. Humans are profoundly social. For hundreds of thousands of years, our ancestors navigated the world in small, tightly knit tribes where cooperation wasn't just a preference, it was the very bedrock of existence. Shared resources, collective defense against predators, the communal raising of children, these were the cornerstones of our species' success. For most of history, survival meant belonging to a group. To be part of the whole was to be sheltered and fed. Isolation meant vulnerability. To be cast out was a near-certain death sentence, exposed to starvation, the elements, and rival groups. This deep-seated fear of exclusion is etched into our neural circuitry. To maintain this vital connection, our brains developed a powerful shortcut. Agree with the group to increase safety. Disagreeing created risk. It introduced friction, the possibility of being seen as a threat, a liability. That ancient instinct still shapes us today, operating silently beneath the surface of our modern lives. Famous psychological experiments from the mid-20th century demonstrated this with startling clarity. Participants were asked to perform a simple visual task, matching the length of a line to one of three options. But they were placed in a room with actors instructed to give the same, obviously wrong answer. Under the pressure of the unanimous majority, a staggering number of people conformed, disbelieving their own eyes to avoid the discomfort of standing alone. This happens for two key reasons. First, the social cost. We instinctively calculate the risk of being ostracized, even in low-stakes situations. Second, uncertainty reduction. When faced with ambiguity, the brain looks for clues in the environment. If everyone else seems confident, we assume they know something we don't, and we adjust our own judgment to match. In groups, people soften disagreement and mirror the language around them. Over time, borrowed ideas start to feel personal. A political soundbite, a corporate mantra, a trending opinion on social media. We adopt them to signal our allegiance. Through repetition, these external viewpoints become integrated into our own mental frameworks. Challenge those beliefs, and it feels like an attack on identity. The brain doesn't distinguish between an attack on the idea and an attack on our membership in the group that holds it. Many beliefs are tied to belonging. They are the uniforms we wear, the anthems we sing. They signify who is us and who is them. Questioning them can feel like threatening connection. It's not just an intellectual exercise, it's an act that carries the primal risk of being pushed out of the tribe. So the brain resists friction. It defaults to the path of least resistance, conserving energy and preserving social bonds. It feels easier to align than to examine. This isn't a moral failing. It isn't weakness. It's wiring. But this wiring can be navigated. Imagine a team meeting where a new strategy is presented. The plan has a critical flaw, but the leader is enthusiastic, and the first few people to speak offer praise. The momentum of agreement builds. Social pressure can bend judgment without anyone noticing. Yet, if one person calmly raises a single, well-founded objection, the spell can be broken. Suddenly, others who were privately hesitant feel empowered to voice their own concerns. The initial consensus dissolves, replaced by a more robust, collaborative search for a better solution. One person's courage to dissent can change the entire outcome. This reveals a fundamental truth. The group moves first. Then, the reasons arrive. We feel the pull of consensus, and then our minds get to work, constructing justifications for why the group's position is the correct one. Independence begins by seeing the pull of belonging. It starts with recognizing that feeling of unease when you disagree, and identifying it not as a sign that you are wrong, but as the echo of an ancient survival instinct. The next step is to create a space for genuine inquiry, and asking quietly, what do I truly think? Not what is popular, not what is safe, not what earns applause. What stands when I'm alone? What remains when the validation of the group is stripped away? That is the first step away from automatic agreement and toward a mind that is truly your own. When a trusted voice speaks, we relax our scrutiny. Authority simplifies decisions. Instead of analyzing, we borrow the expert's confidence. Often, this is useful. Expertise matters. But blind authority can suppress independent thought. History is full of confidently endorsed mistakes. Authority should be a starting point, not the finish line. When we outsource judgment, we also outsource responsibility. Comfort replaces curiosity. A simple discipline reverses that. Claim, check, conclude. Experts are valuable, but they are not infallible. Knowledge evolves. So should our trust. Good questions sharpen good answers. Balance reduces the shine of authority and brightens the light of evidence. Independent thinking is not anti-expert. It's pro-examination. The more confident the claim, the more it deserves a look. Not suspicion, just care. And a question few ask: what evidence would change my mind? That's intellectual responsibility. And it keeps thinking yours. Ideas rarely conquer our minds through logic. They capture our hearts. They spread not because they are flawless, but because they move us. Our emotional systems are ancient, finely tuned for rapid response. An idea that triggers an emotional response taps into this primal processing system, a system designed for speed and action, not patient verification. It feels right, it feels urgent, and so we accept it, and we pass it on. Think of the emotions that travel fastest online. Fear signals a potential threat, anger points to a perceived injustice, and hope offers a vision of a better future. These emotions are powerful catalysts for belief and for sharing. An idea wrapped in one of these is given an extraordinary advantage in the marketplace of attention. Emotion accelerates belief. When a strong emotion is triggered, our brains take a cognitive shortcut, sidelining rational thought. We don't pause to question, we feel compelled to react. In the digital world, this means simple, emotional messages will almost always beat nuanced arguments in both speed and reach. Modern technology acts as a massive amplifier for this dynamic. Information moves at the speed of light, but our capacity for thoughtful reflection has not kept pace. The architecture of our digital spaces is built for velocity. This relentless speed reduces our capacity for reflection and actively rewards immediate reaction. The system is designed not for contemplation, but for consumption. The algorithms that curate these feeds are not neutral. They are designed to maximize engagement. They track every like, share, and even the seconds we pause on content, what's known as dwell time. The algorithm learns what triggers our emotional responses and feeds us more of the same. It doesn't optimize for truth. It optimizes for reaction. This creates a powerful reinforcement loop. We are shown what we've already engaged with, reinforcing our existing beliefs. Inside these personalized information bubbles, this constant reinforcement begins to feel like objective reality. So when a genuinely dissenting opinion finally penetrates the bubble, it feels shocking, even malicious. How could anyone possibly think differently when the reality we see every day is so consistent? This environment is the direct opposite of what independent thinking requires. True understanding needs time, exposure to disagreement, and the humility of uncertainty. But our digital spaces are engineered to reward the very opposite: speed, certainty, and raw emotion. But you are not powerless. You can consciously choose a different rhythm. You can decide to introduce friction into this frictionless system. The next time you feel a strong emotional pull from a piece of information, pause. Before you react or share, ask a few simple questions. Where did this come from? Who benefits if it spreads? What evidence supports it? And, most importantly, what contradicts it? Actively seek out the counter-argument, not to dismiss it, but to understand it. This deliberate act of reflection slows the emotional impulse, creating just enough space for analysis to breathe. In a world obsessed with speed, slow is often wiser. Wisdom rarely arrives in a flash of outrage. It doesn't shout for your attention. It steepens, like tea in hot water, slowly infusing your understanding with depth and color over time. A belief forged in the quiet of reflection doesn't need viral validation to be true. Its strength comes from its foundation, not its popularity. So, step out of the current. Give yourself the gift of a pause. Then, and only then, choose your direction. That is how bubbles burst. Independent thinking is a practice, not a personality. First, slow the mental process. Then, ask questions that reveal the scaffolding of ideas. Look for confirming and disconfirming evidence. Treat ideas as tools, not as self. Make beliefs provisional. Let them update. Curiosity keeps thinking alive. Cross-check ideas across different domains. Intellectual humility opens space for learning. Deep thinking takes time. Complex questions rarely have instant answers. Treat beliefs as evolving maps of understanding. Independent thinkers often listen first. I don't know is not weakness, it's accuracy. Updating beliefs is a sign of strength. Try ideas on a small scale before committing big. Protect time for reflection like any important meeting. The body moves, the mind clears. Questions are the engine of growth. Answers finish chapters. Questions write the book. Most people inherit their mental maps. Few redraw them. The ones who do find clearer ground. They don't rush, they revise. Thinking for yourself isn't rejecting all ideas. It's checking whether a belief survives scrutiny. When you begin thinking independently, your conversations change. You become less reactive, more curious. You ask deeper questions. Beliefs become flexible tools, not fragile identities. Flexibility is essential for growth. Knowledge keeps expanding. So can you. Independent thought is choosing with intention. Freedom from automatic influence begins with one quiet choice, not before, after. Participate consciously. Listen, learn, evaluate, then decide. True thinking starts when you see how easily thoughts can be shaped. From there, you begin to choose your beliefs, not inherit them. That is the beginning of independent thought. If this helped you think, tap like, subscribe, and share it with someone thoughtful. Thanks for watching.